Hello YouTubers. Well, my last video, and I will put a link to that up in the upper right corner, my last video, where I used my little mini clean out sluice to sluice the remains from incinerated and pulverized IC chips to get the gold out, was insanely popular. And in that video I talked about how I was actually overloading that little clean out sluice and I needed a bigger sluice. And I was thinking, well, instead of buying a bigger sluice, I'll just make one, because I've made sluices before. They're super simple, easy to make. So today I'm going to make a sluice, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's going to be a little bit bigger than my mini clean out sluice, just so I can run more material through it without overloading it. And here on the table I've got most of the stuff I need. So you might want to pause the video, grab a pencil and paper and take notes if you want to do this. Otherwise, just, go through it a couple times slowly and pause it here and there and take notes, follow along if you want to make one yourself. Not a lot of stuff required. I'm going with a lot of stuff I have around the farm here rather than running out and buying a lot of stuff. But if I was to run to Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace, I could get even better stuff. But, a sluice, it doesn't have to be fancy. It's just got to get the job done. So, what do we need? Well, I'm going to make this sluice basically 5.5 wide by 3.5 tall. And I'm going to do that using 1x6 for the base and 1x4 for the sides. And the dimensions on lumber are screwy. So they call it a 1x6, it's actually 5.5 wide, okay? So then I'm going to make it 2 feet long to match my sluice mats I have from my mini clean out sluice. Now you can make it any dimensions you want. If you've got different mat, you can cut it to any length you want, any width you want. I'm going to go with 2 feet by 5.5 inches just because that's what these mats I have are already pre-cut to. Now in my clean out sluice, they're held like this. So really only this part of the sluice right here, or this part of the mat right here, gets to be used. I'm going to hold them flat in this sluice so the whole 5.5 inch wide piece of matting can be used. Now if you have miner's moss or can get miner's moss, you can use that. You can use a different pattern. I'll talk more about the mats later, but there's lots of different stuff you can use for mats. You can even make riffles to put in there if you want to. I got some wire mesh here. You can go with the wire mesh like this. This is 1/4 inch square wire mesh, or you can go with the expanded metal lath. I would actually prefer expanded metal lath, but I don't have any on hand. Like I said, the next time I go to Lowe's I can pick some up, but I want to build this with what I've got on hand. You're going to need some hardware. I got some 1/4 carriage bolts here, wing nuts, and washers. They all happen to be stainless steel. You don't have to use stainless steel, but this stuff will rust. It's going to be in water. You're going to need some nails and some screws, maybe like sheetrock screws, I don't know, 1.25 long or so, not too critical. Any kind of screw that will go through wood. You're going to need some kind of pump. Now, this is the little pump that came with my mini clean out sluice, and I think it's going to provide plenty of water for this project. I actually run it almost completely shut off with the mini clean out sluice, otherwise there's way too much flow. But if you don't have one of those, get yourself like a 12-volt bilge pump. They work great for powering a sluice. And I've used this with my bigger sluices before. Works great. Again, it's probably going to be way too much flow for this little sluice, but you could always put a valve on it and cut down its flow rate. Let's see, as for materials, I guess that's about all we're going to need, except for maybe some glue, if I didn't say glue already. So, first thing I need to do is I need to take this lumber and I need to cut it all to 2-foot lengths. So I need sides and face at 2 feet, and I need to cut a piece for the back to close it off in the back. So I won't make you watch that. I'll go get this lumber cut and be back. You're also going to need a little bit of PVC pipe. I think this is 1/2 inch, and some fittings to make a spray bar. to spray water into the sluice. So not critical. I mean, you can go with different sizes. It doesn't really matter. And you're going to need a fitting that will fit the hose on the end of your pump. So, you know, most of this stuff you're probably already going to have on hand if you've got a well-stocked workshop, but you may need to get some specialized PVC pipe fittings and a few other things. But I'll bet you can build most of this if you've got a well-equipped shop. Okay, I got the 4 pieces of wood I need for the body of the sluice. I got the base, and the 2 sides, and the back, all cut off camera. Okay? I also, while I was at it, cut out a piece of this expanded mesh to go in here. So I'll set this aside because we don't need it yet. The next step is to attach the sides to the base. And you could use screws, you could use nails, you could use glue, or any combination of the above. I'm going to use glue and nails. I've got my little brad nailer here, and that should hold everything in place until the glue dries. Now again, I'm using just what I've got around the farm. So this is not the most ideal waterproof glue, but it'll probably work for this application well enough. But if you've got better waterproof glue, I would recommend you use it. Okay. But again, this thing doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to work. You put a few brads in it to hold it together until the glue dries. Well, couple more in, just so it doesn't fall apart on me until the glue dries. Okay, and then same thing with the other side. Yeah, if I had some Gorilla Glue or something like that, I'd use it. You know, it expands and fills the cracks, and it's pretty much waterproof. But what the heck. Alright, there's the body of the sluice built. Now the back, I'm going to do a little different. I am not going to glue and nail that on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the back on with just a couple of screws so that it's removable. And any guesses why I might be doing that? Well, think about it while I do it, then I'll tell you why. Now on this, I would recommend you're going to screw it on, pre-drill and countersink the holes so that there's less chance of splitting the wood, because it's going to be right close to the edge of this piece of wood. You're going to go into the end grain of this piece of wood. The odds of splitting it are really good, so I'm going to pre-drill and pre-countersink the holes. And then I'm just going to hold it on with a couple of these screws right here. These are just like short construction screws. So I'll find a drill bit that'll work for pre-drilling this. That looks pretty good. Alright, do you give up on why I'm screwing the back on? The reason I'm doing it this way is because, okay, I'm building this as a sluice that you're going to run like a high banker, where you're going to be pumping water into it, okay, with a pump. But if you just take the back off, you know, which you might just need a screwdriver to do in 2 seconds, you can actually put the sluice in a stream and let Mother Nature's running water do the work for you. But, you know, if the back's permanently attached, that's a little harder to do. So having the back come off can come in handy when you're out in the field if you don't want to set up the whole pump setup and you've got a good running stream. pre-drill these holes, then hit them with my countersink bit. Then we'll put some screws in. And we'll have the back on. Countersink bit. See, I've made this mistake before of permanently attaching the back. I was out at Cache Creek in Colorado with my homemade sluice, and the creek was running pretty good, and I'm like, boy, it'd be a lot easier just to put this in the creek and use the natural flow. I did it. I had to sink it down enough that the water could run over the top, which is not an ideal situation, but I got some gold that day. Okay, I told you this was easy. All right, so we got a piece of matting. Drops right in there. Look at that, perfect fit. This is going to go over the top of it. Now, like I said, I would prefer the expanded lath because that'll provide some extra little riffles. But this will work too for now. Now, next problem. We want to hold the matting down, or we want to hold the matting down, and we want to hold the mesh down, just so it's nice and flat in there. And we want to make sure that the water doesn't get underneath the mat and make it float, as well as run your pay underneath the mat and out. So for that, we're going to have to drill a few holes and run some bolts up through the bottom so that we can bolt this down. So I'm going to drill a couple holes in it and put in these carriage bolts. And I got some wing nuts and washers, and what that'll do is that'll hold everything together. Now, you don't have to be maybe quite as anal about this as I'm going to be, but I'm going to put one about here, and we put one a little closer to the end about here. Might be able to get by with one, but I'm going to put two in it just because it's a fairly long sluice, and I'm going to find the approximate midway point. Again, you might not have to be quite as anal about it as I am. Let's see, there's the midway point, and there's the midway point. So I got to drill some 1/4 inch through holes, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to countersink them so that this will sit flat on a flat surface, although it'll be rare that it'll sit on a flat surface, but I really just don't like the heads of the bolts sticking up. So I'm going to get a spade bit, and I'm going to countersink them, and then I'll drill the 1/4 inch through holes for this. Okay, got my spade bit here. Now, I bought a new set of spade bits a couple months ago, and well, I wasn't paying attention. They've got an auger-like end on the end of them, and I'll tell you what, if you're not careful, this thing will pull itself right through, deeper into what you're drilling than you want it to go. Especially if you're working with a drill press, these things are just, they'll go right through it. But manually with a handheld drill, I think I'll be okay. But I just, see, there's, I gotta back it out now. See, it just wants to keep going in. And I just want to go in part way, you know, just to countersink the heads of them bolts. And then I got to back it out. All right. So now I need 1/4 inch through holes. 1/4 inch bit. Where's the 1/4 inch bit? There it is. All right. Now a smart man, and I don't claim to be one, probably would have drilled from this side and drilled through the mat, because now I got to make holes in the mat. But I'll figure it out here. There we go. There, that wasn't too difficult. That in there. That in there. Get my hammer and hammer them down. So what I will do is I will mix up a little bit of epoxy and fill these holes up just so that these bolts can't work their way out. And then here we go. I may need to enlarge these holes in the mat a little bit just to get it to go down over these bolts nice and easy. Easier anyway. There we go. There we are. Okay. So there's the mat in. The expanded mesh already has 1/4-inch holes in it, so it ought to sit on there fairly easy. Yep. There we go. We get the wing nuts and washers. Again, I'm using stainless steel hardware here. Happen to have some. Not a requirement, although it will rust eventually, and you might have a little trouble getting it apart. Okay. And there we are. Now, I need to get the spray bar in here so we can spray water into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through the top of the wall over here on both of these walls so that I can slide the spray bar through. So for that I need a different spade bit. Alright, I got a spade bit that's a little oversized for this piece of pipe I'm going to use for spray bar. Now it's not critical. I want it to be up near the top of the sluice, but it's not critical exactly where. I just want to miss the screw I put in the side here. And I got a slightly less aggressive spade bit, but it also might be slightly duller, so this might take a little while. Normally I would finish it from this side, but I can't do it because of the angle. So it's just going to blow out and be ugly on the inside. But again, sluice ain't got to be pretty, it's just got to work. If you're following along at home, you could drill these holes before you put the sides on. That would alleviate this problem. Oop, there went my spade bit. Yeah, it's kind of ugly, but it'll work. Drill another hole here. Find my spade bit. Chuck on this drill tends to come loose sometimes. Okay, that's done. Pull the debris out. Look at that. If you don't glue the fittings on both ends of the pipe, you can just take off one end and slide this out, take the back off it again, and use it in the running stream. So, alright, so what I need to do is I need to cut this to length, right about to here. And I need to drill a bunch of holes in it to let the water out to make a spray bar. So I'm going to attach the other fitting to it that way. And generally you'll have this tilted like this up. You'll probably have a catch basin of water over here. So what you'll have your pump over here on this side. So what I'll do is I'll put a 90 on it so that the fitting for the water inlet is pointing this way. That'll make life a little easier. Alright, so let me drill the holes in this, cut this to length, and put the pieces together, and then we should have a finished sluice. Alright, so here's our spray bar. The number and size of holes, not really all that critical. I think I used, what did I use? I think I used 9/64. Just a little bit bigger than a 1/8 because a 1/8 looked too small. If it turns out I don't feel like I have enough holes in there, I can drill some more. In the unlikely event you get too many holes, you can always cover some with tape. But remember, if you've got too much water flow, it's best to just throttle it with an inline valve on your pump, because you can just turn the water flow way down this way. So really the number and size of holes isn't too critical. You don't want to have them too big and too numerous that you got no pressure at the far end of it, but that's probably not going to happen. So anyway, this slides right in here now, like so. Turn it so that the holes are facing down. Put the other end on with the 90° on it. Attach the pump hose. Got the valve right here for throttling the water flow. And hey, we got us a sluice. Alright, so it looks like we got us a sluice. And what I will probably do is I will probably put holes in this piece of matting too, because I'm not sure which of these two mats is going to work better at catching the microfine gold that's in my ground up IC debris. Now this, you may not think that this sluice is a whole lot bigger than the cleanup sluice I used in my last video, but look at this. I hope this is showing up on the video. You see this line down the mat here? It's only about 1/4 to 1/3 of the width of the mat. That's the only part of the mat that was catching anything. So this is actually going to be at least three times the area for catching stuff as my little mini cleanup sluice did. So I think this is going to catch more than it did because I'm using the whole mat rather than just a little skinny stripe down the middle of it, because the mat's held like this in the little mini cleanup sluice. So there we go. We got a sluice. Quick, easy, and cheap. I told you it was easy and quick. You could build one of these late on a Sunday morning and have it done for the early football game at 1 o'clock. Easy peasy. All we got left to do now is test it. Make sure it works. So what I've actually created here is a larger version of the mini cleanout sluice I used in the last video. This is not the kind of sluice you'd take out in a stream and run buckets full of raw material through it to try and catch gold nuggets and whatnot. It's not built for that. It's a larger version of a cleanout sluice. Now you could run your concentrates through it and further concentrate them. That's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to run more of my, and this is what I'm going to do in the next video. I'm going to set this up and I'm going to run some more of my incinerated and pulverized IC chip debris through this, just like I did with the mini cleanout sluice in the video before. And we'll see if this works better. Hopefully, it'll work better than the mini cleanout sluice which I robbed parts off of to build this. It could still be used out on the stream. You could take the back end off, use it to run your concentrates through and further concentrate them. I have in the past built larger sluices for use out in streams and as high bankers, but yeah, that's really a subject for a different video. I will try to put links in the description of this video to some photos I took of those in use and during construction. Alright, so in the next video we will put this to the test and see if it actually works. So thanks for watching. I hope if you found this video interesting or informative. If so, please give it a like or a thumbs up. Please subscribe to see future videos. They're coming. Like part 2, where I actually use this sluice. Press the little bell button so you get informed when new videos come out. So thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Bye.